I will bless the Lord at all times, and his praises shall continually be in my mouth. What's going on, everybody? All my brothers and sisters around the world. I want to talk to the minister of music for a moment. The beginners. Y'all know oftentimes I like to, pass through here and drop a little of my own experiences, that I've go through and gonna go through more. As the longer you stay a minister of music, you'll see the harder that it gets. And I wanted to title this video when I started out as a minister of music. And I had a question from you, Brother Josh, about teaching parts. And you made me reflect back to when I started out, man, and how nervous I was, And earlier this year, I talked about how, as minister of music and singers, how we, even choir directors, musicians, how we overcome fear. And when you start overcoming fear, you get a little bit more, comfortable as in being in front of people. Kind of like if somebody asks people to pray in front of people. A lot of people, don't like to pray in front of people. And we have to be careful with that stuff because you don't want to just force things on people, in this life. And it's not just with music. That's with, a lot of different things in life. And I remember when I started out as a minister of music and how hard it was. And when you start out, you get out there on your own. Say you've been sitting up under somebody and watching them and learning, but when you get out there on your own, man, it's a whole different ball game, ain't it? And you getting ready to teach these parts, and man, let me tell you, that's one of the things that takes a lot out of you when you become a minister of music and you start doing the part teaching. Yes, you can teach from the organ or the piano and use the piano and the organ, but at the same time, you find yourself, wearing your vocal box down. Many Man talked about this the other night on Blog Talk, and it is so true. I find myself on Wednesday nights, man, a lot of times, and when it's time to go to church, sometimes I don't have nothing in me, and I still have to lead certain songs and open up service and continue to sing after the preacher preach so many different things. And when you don't have a whole lot of singers, here's the other thing, lead singers, and you the minister of music, it take a whole lot out of you. But like you say, when teaching parts and the impatient people that you have in the choir stand, but all eyes are looking at you, especially if you don't have a director. So in this case, you don't have the director, it's you, as the minister of music all by yourself. And I can relate with that too. Now I have a director now, but I'm used to having a director and I'm used to not having a director. I'm used to teaching the parts and I'm used to letting the director teach the parts. Either way. Because the thing with me, let me make a point with that, how I am. I'm not saying everybody else is. But if I'm going to have a director, I'd rather the director teach parts. Because he or she, if they directing, that'll give them something else to do. Because the thing for me is, if I'm going to teach you the parts and I'm playing and say I'm leading the song, I have no need for the director. That case, whoever going to be the director, they can stay in they alto section or soprano. If it's a male, stay in the tenor section. So that's why I let my brother Richard Talbot, now he's my choir director. He wasn't at first because when I had lost my other choir director, I took it back up myself and handled it myself, was teaching parts. But it gives them something else to do, and it takes the load off of you also as the minister of music. It's kind of like, the pastors and the deacons. The pastor can concentrate on that word and other things instead of having to worry about the needs and the other people in the church who got like the widow women and people that need help. That's the deacons, that's their focus. Going out, checking on the sick, that's the deacons should be doing that also. So when you look at the choir stand, you see how they work hand in hand. If you got a director and you got a minister of music, the director can take the load off the minister of music, where he can just operate on the music. And if he dealing with a band, he got to worry about getting the band right and the intros, the outros, the breaks. It's so much, but the thing is, everybody bringing something to the table, to make it all work out for the best. So if I see anything that can help me, and take the load off me, I'm all for it. But I also know that a lot of times you won't have a director, you won't have a musician, like drummers and bass players. You got to carry the load all by yourself. So I want to say that little point too, because it's so tough on the minister of music when it's just you by yourself. And man, if you see this video, I know you know what I'm talking about. But going back to this teaching parts things, especially when you go to a church, just like I can say in the past, church I went to didn't know nobody at all, and you coming in as the newcomer, for whatever reason the other musician left, but here you are, really don't know nobody there, and you get in that first rehearsal, and then you got people that start, kind of getting out of line with you, saying stuff like, well, the other musician did it like this. Why are you doing it like we was taught this, and this is the way we've been doing it for all this time? And you got to break that right then and right there. Trust me, I know. You got to step up and be bold. A minister of music can't be no coward. And you got to let folks know, hey, I'm not the last musician. This is me. This is my format. This is the way I do it. I understand what y'all was taught by somebody else, but now I'm here. This is the way it's got to. This is the way I do it, because you are the one that they hired in to be over the music staff. You the minister of music. So it's all on you. And so that means you got to be right. You got to have yourself together. And you got to put those choir members in check when they start trying to run the musician, the minister of music, let me say. And I remember quite a few people I had a problem with so many times in church. Oh man, so many times when you start teaching parts. And I remember when I first started, man, I was nervous as a hooker in Sunday school. I sure was, legs shaking. I was worried about who was going to say what, but that was because that was that first time when I got out there on my own, them first little few times. But after that, when the choir put me through so much hell, oh yeah, oh man, I got it right then. I started looking around and being like, okay, I got to get gangster with these folks. I didn't think Christians would act like that until I started getting on my own and started seeing what was going on. Really, when you do it by yourself, when you become a director or a minister of music, you start dealing with church folk, you see a whole nother side of them, don't you? You really see their true self. It comes out, especially in rehearsal. You see husbands and wives mad at each other, bringing it to choir rehearsal. You see boyfriends and girlfriends who's shacking up, mad at each other, bringing it to rehearsal. You got some women that's menopausing and going through that, bringing it to rehearsal. You deal with a whole lot. Men who can't stand men. It ain't just the women. So when you add it all up, man, you got to have your mind right. You trying not to snap. And it's tough. It's tough. When everybody is waiting on their part, stay on the altos long enough and see won't the sopranos start getting impatient. See won't folks start looking at their watch and start complaining. And some even want to get up and leave the choir stand or even go home. But hey, I'm going to say this too. Some songs take longer than others. The problem is when you get a choir stand full of complaining people, let me leave that alone. That's a whole nother video. Teaching parts is very important. I tell any minister of music who just want to play music, I want to just play the music, I want to just play the music. There's going to come a time when you ain't going to just be playing the music. You're going to need to know where that soprano note is, where those altos at, where those tenors at, where the second tenors at. You might have some sopranos that's extra high. You got to know where to go. So when you learning the music at home, you might as well, since you're learning the chords, is go ahead and pick those parts out if you familiar with doing that. Because you never know, hey, what if the director don't show up? And then everybody looking at you, they're going to be like, this fool don't know what he doing. She don't know what she doing, man. And we paying them, man, all this money. Y'all know how it go. Can we keep it real in this video? So I'm saying all that to say, learn your craft. Learn your keys, all 12 of them. Learn it to the best as you can. Because you never know when you're going to really get put on the test. you experience a lot of things every week, don't you? I always say it like this, as a minister of music, because it's a man or a woman, they have to be a person after the Lord's own heart like David. You got to have that drive like David. You got to have it like Paul when he was converted from Saul to Paul. Even when he was Saul, he had that drive. He just had his drive for the wrong reason. He was persecuting the Christians, but when he was converted over to Paul, man, he had that drive. He didn't let nothing stop them. And that's the same way a director, a minister of music have to be. Because people going to come up to you all the time. And then, like I say, when you got these tone deaf people in the choir who think they know it all, really think they can sing, they can't hear their notes, but they so quick to tell you wrong, and here it is, you know you right. The thing is, singing is not for everybody. You got people out there trying to make themselves have a gift. I tell people all the time, some folks need to just be on the kitchen committee. I mean, hey, you got preachers in the pulpit who love to sing sermons, and they ain't even talking about nothing. Why they don't need to be in the pulpit, they need to be in the choir stand. You done read 2 scriptures and started singing and trying to make the organ player jump keys to show everybody how good you can sing. You should have joined the choir, not became the pastor. Some of y'all will catch that later on. Just keeping it real, y'all. And then the other problem is, when you get to teaching parts, and I'm titling this video about teaching parts, but I'm tying it all in together. You got no respect in a lot of these churches now in the music department. You got altos who want to tell the sopranos they parts while the director's giving them their parts. You got people sitting up whispering, oh, that ain't right. She gave them the wrong note. And then next thing you know, you got everybody looking each and every way trying to listen at somebody else for their note. And then you know what you got after that? Confusion. That's why you going there to get it right. You got to be just like a pastor who stands on the truth no matter what. No matter how folks take it, even if they want to leave, like Pastor Cochran, brother P.P. Drawings pastor. You got to have a pastor like that. But then you got these pastors who don't want to offend people by preaching on sin, preaching the true gospel, because they don't want to offend nobody. Well, it's the same way with a minister of music. You got a minister of music don't want to offend nobody. They don't want to be. I can't say this to them. I got to be a people pleaser. That's where you make your mistake at, because then you start letting certain folks do everything. That's why you got to put your foot down and tell folks and sit folks down. Let me tell y'all something. I done set many people down, even my own brothers, even my own kinfolk. I have had to sit people down, and I don't even look back. Because if I'm not right, I'm going to sit myself down. This is why people get practice and rehearsing mixed up. Now, I might have just confused somebody with that. Let me back up. People get practice and rehearsing mixed up. What do you mean by that, JT? Let me take myself for an example. I'm the minister of music at my church. I don't go to my church to learn the music. I practice at home. I practice. I learn the music. I listen at the harmony. I'm listening for everything, and dealing with the bass player and the drummer and the horn player. I'm listening and taking all that in at home. That way, when I get to church, you know what I do? I rehearse them over the song. There is no need for me to go to church and try to learn the music and try to learn the choir parts and dealing with a band all at one time, because you know what? Somebody gonna get left out. So my practice is at home. I tell people all the time, practice don't make me perfect. It just make me better. I practice all the time, and I ain't never became perfect. I still mess up at times, but I do become better. So when I get to church, my thing at church is the choir. I tell my musicians, my brothers, y'all better learn that music when I email it to you. Don't be coming up in here trying to figure out, hey man, you know what How'd it go? I didn't get to listen there. Now you want me to spend time on you and they waiting on their harmony. No, come on, man. This is just my take on this. Every musician need to learn their music at home. It makes it so much better when you know what you're doing when you get there versus you don't know what you're doing when you get there. Some of y'all know what I mean when I say when you practice and versus rehearsing. Let me give you another example. Just like I said the other day, you do not go to the studio to start trying to practice and get it right. You go in the studio to lay it down, confident. And this is why so many people get into it with the engineer, because they go into the studio to practice. You know, when you're going in there practicing and wasting all them hours because you can't figure out what you're going to do, don't you know at the end of your time that engineer is going to have you mad because you done lost track of time, but he didn't. You done went in there and waste time. You didn't get nothing laid down, but you mad. That engineer going to want his money. Hey, man, you been in here 6 hours. You rented the studio out for an 8-hour block. Where's my money at? It ain't my fault that you wasn't ready. They be ready to shoot the engineer. So I look at that and I tie it in even with church. That's why when I go to church, it's not for me to learn the music. I tell my choir director the same thing. Brother Talbot knows when I send that music out, he better learn them parts before he get there on Wednesday night. And you know what? He does an excellent job. He don't get there as the director because you know why? The director going to be sitting there confused and everybody going to be looking crazy because the director don't even know how to teach the parts. You do that on your own time. I give the choir, the church I'm at, I give them music and lyrics way ahead of time. They know what they're going to do sometime even 3-4 Sundays ahead of time. It's up to them to check their email because all of them is sitting in front of the computer. Or let's just be real, your computer now is your cell phone. There's no reason for you not to listen. You got time to be on Facebook. You got time to tweet. You got time to do all this other stuff. Look at Desperate Housewives and everything. You got time to open up that file and listen to the music. Even if you don't know your harmony, at least when you get to rehearsal, you know what? The words. It's a whole lot easier when you just got to teach harmony versus trying to teach people the words and the harmony. That's a distraction when you got to keep looking at the paper and trying to look at the director and get your notes right. I'm just giving y'all some things on what I do. It might work for you, it might not. It's always best to stay ahead of the game. That's why I do everything way ahead of time. I go to rehearsal. Today is Tuesday for me. Tuesday for all of us, let me say. Wednesday night, tomorrow, is my rehearsal night. Don't you know they already had their music and they lyrics 2 Sundays ago on what we're going to go over tomorrow night? Now, when I get there, I always, and see, I'm real hard. I make a lot of my choir members mad because our first question I ask when I get there, who listened at the music? Who studied? When you was in school, you had homework. Why we want to do everything for the Lord? So when I get to rehearsal, who listened? Show of hands. And said, then I'll say, you ain't got to show me your hands. It's going to show once we start doing the song. Because if I see people steady looking at the words and keep looking up like this, and well, what's the words? The only thing you should be saying is, give me my note again. I didn't get that part. Can you give me my alto note again? That's what you're supposed to be saying. But the problem is when you don't know the words, how you going to sing out and sing with confidence if you don't know what you are singing? So that's why I do all of that on my own time. It's easier for me. It might take a little bit longer when you plan out things, but I'll tell you this, it'll stop you from having to go over and over and over again. So I'd rather take that time right there and just do it right the first time. So when I think about my time when I started out and what I'm dealing with now, man, it's easy. Did I say that right? Y'all catch that? It's hard. It's nothing easy. about it. And if you do it backwards, like what I'm saying, the way I don't do it, that's what make your job extra harder, because you wind up having to do everything at the last minute. So yeah, brother, you got to put your foot down and let nobody run over you, and you just got to keep it moving. You got to keep it moving. Let me say this: when you remove the mess out the choir, oh yes, when you get rid of that hell raising and them hell raisers off in there, when you get that mess out the choir, that's when the Holy Spirit shows up and shows and moves. Because now you got some true singers up there. You ain't got all these complaining folks and people that just want to be seen and want to, show out and all that stuff, man. Want to have a show, man, and want to perform. When you get that out of the choir stand, then the Lord steps in. You better move that mess. Matter of fact, not just in the choir stand. If you got it in the pulpit, wherever it's at in the church, if you move that mess out, I know it ain't no perfect church because we're not perfect people, but you can perfect what you do, and you got to address that mess soon as it happens. When you see it coming, step on it, pull it, kick it, get it out of there. Get it out of there, and watch the Lord move harder. See, we call a lot of this stuff, the Holy Spirit is here. But when you see all this performing and showing, that ain't no Holy Spirit in that. Ain't no Holy Spirit in that. See, when I started out, I didn't know it was going to be this rough till I got on my own. But I didn't know that the Lord was preparing me. That's what the Lord was doing. There's nothing easy about this. Nothing easy about life. We deal with it, period. I thought once again the church folks was about their father's business. Some of them are. But the majority of the time, people are just about themselves. All this entertaining. When you think about the pulpit, the preaching, next to that is the ministry, music ministry. Biggest thing in the church. See, the devil, as old Lucifer was in heaven, oh, he was on a high level, y'all. He knows that worship level, that praise level. He was on the high level before he was kicked down. That's why he know about it. That's why he know how to praise, sing, pray, worship, dance, speak in tongues, lay hands. Oh, don't think for 1 second Satan don't know how to do that. That's why I talk about being anointed. You don't see too many anointed musicians and minister of music no more. See, the devil don't want you to get on that high level I was just saying, because he knows it. And if you get up there, then he know that, hey man, I might lose this one. I'm trying to get them to be in my kingdom. Satan got a kingdom too. He got a house, a home called the lake of fire. So he knows that high level, and his job is to make sure you don't get there. And you know what's sad? He doing a good job in most churches. You can tell when Satan is running a choir. Too many people have stepping for the Lord. Present the Lord with anything now. Oh, and we got a messed up rehearsal, you're going to have a messed up service. And I'm trying to close. I didn't mean to make it this long. Didn't even mean to take it all the way here. But hey, I might as well let the camera keep rolling. When you deal with more than one choir, come on, y'all. Y'all minister of music. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. When you're dealing with more than one choir, look at how many attitudes you got to deal with. And you just that one person sitting down there as the minister of music with a different choir. Fourth Sunday, we got the men's choir. Fifth Sunday, you got the women's choir. First Sunday, you got the mass choir. Second Sunday, you got the children's choir. You got choir on top of choir. You got the singers choir. You got the young adult choir. You got the singing saint choir. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. That's a whole lot of attitudes to deal with. I tell people all the time, you ain't just dealing with attitudes. You dealing with a whole lot of stuff. People that's really jealous of each other, angry. Man, I remember when it used to just be, let's just have a mass choir. Maybe a young adult choir, that's it. Because the thing is, in most churches, the same, well, I can say this, I have seen where men actually sing in the choir that is the male chorus, but then you got some that don't sing with the mass choir. That's why they have a male chorus song that they want it to be all man. But I'm so glad when we get to heaven, man, we just going to be one. We ain't got to worry about all this different stuff, all these different attitudes, all these different programs. Half of these programs out now, man, ain't about 2 nickels rubbing together. It's just a money hungry thing. So I'm about to close. Remember this as we close. We always talk about self-examination, self-confidence, self-discipline. That's the one a lot of people don't want to deal with. Self-respect. When you don't have those selves right there, it's hard to deal with people that have no respect, no discipline, no confidence. You got a lot of choir members that don't have no confidence in their voice at all. They don't even believe in themselves. But yet and still they get up every rehearsal, every Sunday. I want to just be there. And they got beautiful, the ones got beautiful voices a lot of time are the most scariest ones. And then the ones with the hell all up in them is the ones that's faithful and are always singing out and want to do everything. Boy, let the church say amen. So with that being said, y'all take care. Don't give up. We say it's hard being a minister of music. But look at how hard it was for Jesus dealing with everybody. So if Jesus didn't give up, I'm not going to give up neither. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. Peace. Have a wonderful day.